Special relaxation of the brain, which leads to relaxation of the corresponding parts of the whole body. This exercise produces immediate relaxation. It allows you to locate the parts of your brain that are dysfunctional. If you imagine your cranium as a kind of a high vault, about 2 to 3 meters high or 6 to 8 feet high, descending on all sides to a horizontal floor, then you can see the brain as a layer of sponge about 50 centimeters to a meter or 1.5 to 3 feet thick, and as a simple inner liner without any convolutions. See yourself standing on the floor and holding a garden hose, preparing to clean the sponge. If in perfect condition, this sponge is indestructible, but can be described also as delicate, light, opaque, or semi-translucent, depending on the case. In fact, almost always, it contains either a crystallized deposit of impurities of variable thickness, which reduces the natural flexibility of the sponge and makes it almost brittle. Or perhaps there is a liquid that is more or less dark and viscous that tends to produce a state of moldiness. Either of these states may be in the vault, sometimes giving rise to some kind of stalactites. The exercise starts at the frontal part, with you holding with one hand the garden hose that is discharging abundantly but not violently a beautiful clear water, considered as a universal solvent. If the surface of the sponge is dusty or sticky, wash it with a jet. The water will carry out this superficial dirt along the floor to drain out through a hole in the center of the floor. With your other hand, touch this surface once cleansed and exert a slight pressure to test the condition of the sponge. If it seems flexible and light and can be pressed thoroughly without any apprehension, it's in a good condition in this area. If it seems a little hardened, you immediately feel a kind of apprehension to compress it for fear of causing damage. The water is then directed on this place. Direct the water to this place. Press the sponge slightly to expel the dirty water. Then release to allow the pure water to penetrate. And so on until the water being expelled becomes clean and the original flexibility returns. In fact, different parts of this brain sponge have states that are far from uniform, some giving the impression of relative cleanliness, others opposing the water with a serious resistance to cleaning and starting to soften only after interventions. Some react quickly, but the next time you come back, there it is again. Yet you will find that work is being done more and more easily and quickly as a result of a progressive decline in resistance. Because you are cleaning something very delicate, it's imperative to act gently and very gradually down through the depths, layer by layer. What is the relationship between this exercise and relaxation? There is a direct relation, because any relaxation and cleaning of a region of the sponge, brain, causes a relaxation of the corresponding part of the brain and related organs and parts if the work is done correctly. It is possible, once trained, to relax at once the entire head and, by reflex, the whole body. The next step involves understanding that living and feeling deeply any imagined work can actually achieve tangible and effective results. Try for explanation of this idea that a deep cleansing has just been completed, resulting in a real and comfortable state of relaxation. Until now, it didn't matter what color the sponge was that was lining the vault, or whether it was opaque or not, the essential point being its cleanliness and elasticity. Now it must be imagined as semi-transparent, of indefinite color like a very pale yellow. Imagine yourself standing and placing down the garden hose down on the floor. Above your head, in the very center of the top of the vault, there is another hose. Open its flow, and this time a luminescent gas emerges from the hose, and the entire surface of the vault is impregnated. The sponge drinks this product hungrily, as if it were nurturing and vital. Repeat the operation. Open the flow of the hose again to reach the deep layers. See how the luminescent gas makes the sponge lighter and more transparent and shows scattered spots that are bright and sparkly. This transformation happens progressively from the surface to the bottom, and it's easy to assess the amount of gas necessary to impregnate the entire mass. After a certain time of practicing this, the original sponge tends to become more and more transparent until it's completely colorless. And it begins to emit a very beautiful clarity of white gold that is very transparent. The bright and sparkly spots still remain. This new state tends to become stable only if the level of consciousness of the student remains high enough, implying a clearly positive dominance and a definite attention. We are at the end of our exercise. Put everything back in its place. Close the hoses. Open your eyes, stretch and get up. But make sure to keep in your head and body the feeling you have just experienced.